And shalom, everyone. Shalom. I want to welcome everyone to King James Bible University Precept Mastery. I'm Elder Michael Johnson with the Lost Sheep of Israel. And today we going to be picking this right back up, and we're going to go through Romans chapter 9 as we've been going through. And you can see that we've been going through here for some time, but we're taking our time and we want to understand exactly what Paul is saying all the time. So what we doing, we got to go back through here, but I do know that we have some of our people here where I always welcome them, but then I have to make sure that I'm trying to adjust certain things to make sure people can understand what is going on. So I trying to change things a little bit to make sure that people that I do have with me, to make sure that they can see things visually as well as see things spiritually. So what I have to do is make sure that I come up to snuff to assist them in every way possible, that when you trying to sit there and find the truth, we need to make sure we can adjust at least certain things that we use to make you see it. But we're going to finish up where we left off at from last week. And we're going to be going through that, and as we know, everybody know we can go through, we can look at what's going on here. And you'll see here where we was going through, and we actually in verse 23. But we want to remember some of the things which were spoken earlier before then. Because in verse 23 it says, and that he might make known the riches of his glory on the vessels of mercy. So we knowing what was going on, because these vessels that we're in here, that we're embodied right now, we supposed to be housing the glory of God, which is his word, is eternal. This is how we have to really pay attention to what he's saying, because many times we'll overlook what he's talking about. Verse 22, it tells us this. It says, what if God, willing to show his wrath, to make known his power, endure with much long suffering the vessels of wrath fitted for destruction, in which this is the thing. Destruction is mean something that will no longer exist. The same you can sit there and see. You can see old shows where you see buildings that they end up demolishing and destruction. That building that you seen that was demolished is never come back again. It's done. It's done away with. The same as we have loved ones, and many of us have loved ones. We have friends where they perished, but that body that perished was fitted for destruction. That body will never come back. It will never come back. But this is what he's trying to get you to see, because when Yahushua even told those men, he said, you destroy this temple, I'll rebuild it in 3 days. They not knowing what he's talking about. They talking about it took us 47 years, 46 years to build this one. And how you saying you're going to rebuild it in 3 days? Not knowing he was speaking all the time of his body. It's the same here. So he wanted to make known his riches and his glory in the vessels of mercy. And we need his mercy. We need his mercy, which he had afore prepared unto glory. We need to understand that. We need to completely understand what he's saying here. So what we're going to do, we're going to look at something here. We're going to go back into this, and we're going to pull in close on this. And I want you to clearly see what he's talking about here. Because for we know, see, our bodies are going to be destroyed. So now we know clearly what's going to happen to our bodies. And our bodies going to be destroyed. They are set up for destruction, completely for destruction. But let's us make another purpose. Because we can get set up for another purpose. To make known his glory and the riches within these vessels. Meaning our bodies, if we present our body, we come to him and we present this body, this entire body, as a living sacrifice, a vessel of mercy. See, this is what we have to do. We have to present our body as a living sacrifice to him, to God. Which he already had to prepare for that, but he want to see what you going to do with that body. Let's look at something. I want to show you something here. And we're going to see here. I want to show you this here. Let me pull that back up. And we're going to pull this one. And it says in Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 23. It says, for God created man to be immortal. He created man to be immortal. But we have to understand what he's saying here, because most people would think that this body, as this physical being, is to be immortal. This flesh. If that's what we think, then we actually think wrong. Because we know over time, every one of us is going to die. So if that's the truth, and we know it's the truth because we see it every day, then that will actually make God being completely inaccurate. So either he's inaccurate or we don't understand what he's saying here. That's how this is looked at. So it says God created man to be immortal. So we have a problem here. The problem we have here is most of us don't understand what man mean and really know what immortal actually is coming about. So we really need to know what man is. Excuse me. So we as spiritual beings was made in the image of God, in his likeness. He prepared our bodies, something you can see, which is temporal. The same thing you look outside and some people might be watching this outside. You look around, everything around you is temporal. You can see the sun. Okay, you know the sun is temporary. It's been going on for these thousands of years, but it's going to come to an end. It's temporary. If you can see it, it's temporal. You can see the moon, it's temporal. The sea is temporal. The earth, temporal. Your body, temporal. So he's showing you that to where we can get to know us, our bodies. Meaning the same way what he wants you to understand. So if our bodies can be destroyed the same way as the world can be destroyed, is why he's telling you what he's doing. So his word is in this world, and it'll be taken out of this world. The same way that his word is in you, and this word will be taken out of you. But if your spirit is with that word, he won't return back to the Most High void. You can come with him. That's what he's saying. Let's get a little bit more understanding here. We're going to get some more understanding here. And we're going to see what's happening here. So when we see some of these things here, as it's saying, and you sit there and you see, when you're looking at people, most people always, they're going to look at so much things. They're going to look at everything carnally. Carnally is a carnal minded, you being carnal of the flesh, and all flesh is going to come up with death. So when we see this, we get mixed up what's happening here. So when you see this here, in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 16, it tells you that our bodies, but it says, know ye not that the temple, know ye not that ye are the temple of God, and the Spirit of God dwelleth in you. So if it's dwelling in us, you can see you. So if you see you, you know you're temporal. But what's eternal is inside you. So that's why he said, when you worship him, you have to worship him in spirit and in truth. In the same way as he's saying, when you sit there and you see everything that's temporal, don't sit there and worship what you see on the outward, man. You have to sit there and you look on the inward. So that's why he says, I don't look on the outward appearance on anyone, but I look upon the heart. It's telling you right there that he might make known the riches of his glory on the vessels of mercy. He'll make himself known on the vessels of mercy. That's why he's doing what he's doing. This is why, if your body, and the worst thing that goes about is this, is a lot of us, we'll take our own bodies, we'll fill it up with drugs, we'll take our body, we'll fill it up with alcohol, we'll fill it up with whoredom. We'll use it as weapons of destruction. This is what we'll do with our, and what you got to remember is, this is the temple of God. The temple of God. So if it's the temple of God, and that's dwelling in you, why are you doing what you're doing? You're going to fill it up with unholy things that has nothing to do with God. Has nothing to do with God, but we do that. And then we expect God to accept us. This is our problem. This is a problem that many of us, we was taught to sit there to disrespect God in every way possible. And we sit there and we see the same thing. You see this sister here. She is a temple of God where God can rest in her. The Spirit of God can rest in her. And when it can rest in you, that means it with women and with men, with young people, kids growing up, and everything else. You do not defile that temple. I don't care what people will tell you anything. And what we'll do, we'll sit there and we'll let that temple be defiled, because he said, what would a man do, or what would a man give in exchange for his soul? And we have women, young girls, they can sit there and see a guy who is might be getting ready to go to college, or might be getting ready to go straight to a professional sport. And they'll sit there and might have kept themselves, but they say, I might lose him. So before I lose him, what I'm going to do, he wants me to be intimate with him. And he might stay with me. That's not a wise choice, because he lay with you and then he moves on. Or he lay with you and then you try to get pregnant, which now you just become, in this world, a baby mama. That is my baby's mama. Many of them going to tell you the same thing. They promise you the world, and all they want is one thing: They promise you the world. If you can see it, why hope for it? Bible tells you this. The Most High God make promises to you, things that is hoped for. In your temple is temporary, but you hoping for eternal things, because at the end of the day, this body is going to return from which it came, as it tells you here. It tells you right here. It says in Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 7, it says, then the dust shall return to the earth as it was. That body, that woman you see right here, one day, that body you see right there in front of you is going to return to the dust. It's going to go into the ground and be buried as it was. And, however, we're looking at, and the Spirit of God that supposed to have been dwelling in her, going to return to God who gave it. But if it returns and it's polluted, he's going to reject it. He's going to reject it. But he's going to come and he's going to, it's the same way why he says a field. Most people don't understand why he says a field and vineyards and stuff like that. But I'm going to explain it to you to where we can understand what's happening here. The same thing as you see a farmer. A farmer will sit there and he plants different varieties of foods in the field. Vegetables and stuff you see in the field. And it's going to come a time as he water it, cultivating and turning over and cultivating and turning over. He's going to come at one time. He's going to harvest what he planted. He's going to harvest it. And then once he harvests it, he's going to take it into this area where he's going to section out what's look good for the market, what they can eat, and things that's not good, that don't look good, that's not pleasing to his eyes, he's going to get rid of it. He throw it away. Same thing here. We're the dust of the ground. So he planted a seed in us, which is the word of God. It's planted in us, in the earth. So it's planted in us. And then once we grow, and it depends on how we grow, and if we grow and it wasn't pleasing, then our fruit going to look deformed and weird. And so when God harvests it, he's going to look at it, and we don't want it to be cast on the left side of him. We need it to be cast on the right side. But we get cast on the left side, we have a problem. This is what he's talking about. So when that spirit comes back, and that spirit come back and it's not right, and he done harvested everything from the ground. That's why we go back into the ground, because he's physically showing you what's going to happen. So when he calls it back and it's not right, we have a problem. We have a problem. That vessel of mercy going to end up becoming the vessel which housed the vessel for the second destruction. Because if you want to be prepared for eternal glory, then you don't want anybody to defile your temple. And the same as I say to these young girls out there, you have men going to sit there and they'll tell you all day long they love you. I love you, I love you, I do, I love you, love you. All you have to do is just come lay with me. Okay, one, that's why you got so many different types of venereal diseases. That's one. But the second one you have to look at is this. If he loved you that much, he's willing for you to be his wife. And if he's not even old enough to do that, then you shouldn't be playing adult games. This is for the man as well as the girl. Because if not, he's not going to deal with fornicators. And that's what they're doing. You're fornicating. If you want to get into fornicating, then you sit there and you just might as well be the best fornicator out there, because God do not want fornicators. That's what you're going to do. Be the best out there, because when you know the truth, you already know what the plan is. But let's look at this. Let's look at 24. Let's look at 24. And we'll get into this. It says, even us. Exactly the point. Even us. Even us. As it says right there. I'm trying to get that close up. Even us, to make sure, because I just want to make sure that people see it. Even us, whom he have called, not of the Jews only. Not of the Jews only. But also of the Gentiles. Again, as Paul's speaking, people mix this up. People get this screwed up. But what we want to do is the same thing like I spoke about it about a couple of weeks ago. And why I keep saying it's so important who you learn under. Because so many people has gone out into the world to deceive you of the truth. And the same thing is, I hope my elders start using it on a regular basis. All the elders and the deacons that teach with me, alongside with me. They don't teach behind me or beneath me. They teach on my side. We all are equal. And I'm hoping that they start using that as a regular basis on what I'm saying right here about Jews. To where they just start using it as a regular basis right here. Because we need to shut down so much false doctrine. It's unreal. But he's saying not of the Jews only. And he's making himself clear, because he's talking about Jews only mean followers of Christ. You can go to the front of the book, to the back of the book. Jews, every time we're going to come out to just followers of Christ. Because that's what it means in Paleo Hebrew. That's what it means in Greek. And that's what it means even here in this English language. However, you have people who they didn't know what that meant. And they used other ways, and they trying to say everything differently. And they tried to put it on people. And they're just saying, not of the followers of Christ only, but also of the Gentiles. And he question marked that. But now people think Gentiles here, he's speaking of Gentile people of nations. And that's not what he's saying. Paul is very clear about what he's saying, because he said he only went to the 12 tribes. So I want to show you something to make sure we're clear here. Actually, I got it on here. It's on here. And there we go, right there. So I want to show you that. So he's telling you right up front in 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 2. He says, ye know that ye were Gentiles, carried away unto these dumb idols. These dumb idols. Even as you were led. Why is he saying that? Because he's making sure you as Gentiles of the mind. Gentiles of the mind. Making us not really understand what people were saying. But people will sit there and say, see, this is talking about us. No, it's not talking about you. It's talking about people who was Israelites not knowing who they were. That's why you see Isaiah chapter 1 verse 3 tell you, ox know of his owner, ass his master crib, but Israel do not know, Israel will not consider. That's why it even says that. Because we was Gentiles of the mind, taking off the dumb idols. Taking off the dumb idols. Meaning this. Meaning this. You have some of us who was taking off the dumb idols, and that one right there is an idol. You see that man right there? It's a white guy. And Caesar Borgia. But you see right there where people have taken this and they showing you an image of a man that myself and many others have worshipped him ignorantly. We have worshipped that idol right there ignorantly. That's why he said we were Gentiles of the mind. See, this is why he actually says this. Let's pull this over here in John. Let me go to John. We're going to go to John chapter 4. And pick this up at verse 22. And it says this here. It says, ye worship, ye know not what. And I remove some of these to where we'll get it. To where we'll get it another way. Oh, wait a minute. Let me change that one. It said, ye worship, ye know not. Gentiles. You don't know what you're worshiping because you're Gentiles of the mind. But he says more here. He says more here. Actually, let me change that one. He says, we know what we worship. Because he's telling you at the end, because it's Jews. But he's saying, we know what we worship. For salvation is of the followers of Christ. That's all it said. But it just coupled up in Jews. But it just followers of Christ. You can go from Genesis to Revelations. And you can put that in there and you'll see that's exactly what it's saying all the time. But that's why I tell you, people will sit there and tell you that they speak, they read Paleo Hebrew. And that's why I speak against them so much about that, because it's telling you that in the scriptures. In the scriptures, it's telling you this. But they running you to all these blue letter Bibles and the etymology dictionary online. They run you to all these places, and they don't see that at all. Why? Because of not what they really think they know is the problem. So you'll still be taking off the dumb idols, because everybody will sit there and say that they're a Jew, but not knowing that you're just saying you're a follower of Christ. That's why even Pilate said, am I a Jew? Basically saying, am I a follower of Christ? No. He said, but your people brought you to me. They supposed to be. That's why Pilate had that kind of conversation with him. But salvation is of the followers of Christ. The followers of Christ. But let's look at it a little bit more here. Let's look at it a little bit more. And it's telling you about something where we looking at devotions. Because I want to show you something with devotions. Because we're going to go ahead and we want to show you this in Acts. We're going to look at this in Acts chapter 17. Come on. Acts 17, we're going to pick it up at verse 23. to understand devotion, we want to understand devotion in a better way. So it says this. It says this. It says, for comparing, I pass by. So Paul is making a comparison on what something happened. That's all he's doing. He said, and beheld your devotions. Devotions. So that's why I put that there. Devotions is objects and images. Same thing you see here. Same thing you see there with that guy. As he passed by, he beheld those images and things that they had up. In books, and same thing. It can be things that you will hold up to those things. So he's sitting there, he's telling them, as I passed by, I looked and I seen your devotions. So he don't have to say, I seen your images. He don't have to walk by and say, I seen your idols. He was being, in a systematic way, using the specific word, devotions. Goesha. The specific word. This word he holding as devotions is showing you that this is what it is. It's an object. It's an image. Nothing more. And he said this. He says, and I found an altar with this inscription. So he found one. He found this object. He found this altar with this inscription, this one. And it said, to the unknown God. So it's letting you know they worshiping all these other types of gods. All these other gods, they worshiping them. And he said, to the unknown God, he says, whom for that reason you ignorantly worship him, declare I unto you. People don't understand how serious that is what Paul said there, because they got something up there and they don't even know what they just put to the unknown God. They worshiping anything and everything, and then they have one up there and saying, okay, to this one is an unknown God. We just gonna use this one here. Their devotion. Interesting. That become interesting because we'll use that. And not only that, people will sit there and hold devotions for money. That's why you go in most churches. That money is the object of devotion. They'll say, you sow $1,000 seed. The seed is the word of God. Because he tell you the parable is this. The seed is the word of God. But they'll tell you to sow $1,000 seed. Their devotion. Their object of image on what they're worshiping. They're telling you this right up front. And we ignorantly did this. And why I say we? Because I've done that. Done it. Been there, done that. So when they sit there and they seeking that devotion that we ignorantly worship, now we're just trying to find out what the truth is. Some people sit there and have an object of devotion, and it might be this girl that's out there. There's this woman, she's walking around, and that's their devotion. Some people might sit there and see this man. That's their devotion. That you ignorantly worship. Because it's temporal. It's temporary. So he's telling us right up front, this unknown God, he said, but we ignorantly worship him. He's telling this unknown God, Yahweh, this unknown God, we ignorantly, he's telling you this one here, this one that you're talking about, this unknown God, who we actually don't know. We know, a lot of us know kind of who he is, but we ignorantly worship this God. That's what I want you to think about. That God we ignorantly worship every time, like clockwork. We'll do it in all our, we'll worship and the singing. We'll do everything because we're gonna do it to what we want to do, and we ignorantly worshiping him. Ignorantly, do this, and we ignorantly worship him. And this same God created all the world. And everything in it. The point is this same creator that we ignorantly worship, he wrote something for where he can dwell in us, because he says, I don't dwell in temples made with hands. Let's look at something. Let me show you something. Let's pull up to 25. Let's look at something. It says, neither is worship with men hands. And you see, well, let's start at 24. We'll go to 24, but we don't need 24. We're going to go to 20. It says, God that had made the world and all things therein, seeing that he is Lord, he is the creator of heaven and earth, dwelleth not in temples made with hands. And that's the end of that thought there. That's the end of that thought there. So if he don't dwell in temples made with hands, why are people still going to temples, going to churches? People say, well, we got to congregate. No. First, answer that question. Why are you going to this church? You answer that. Well, he says, forsake not to do that. No. First, you answer that. Because he's saying right up front, he do not dwell in temples made with hands. That's the first thing we need to be able to answer. Don't sit there and, he said, I got this. No, he said, forsake not assembling of yourselves. Okay, so again, we'll go right back to there again. Dwelleth not in temples made with hands. So you need to be able to answer that. And if we can't answer that, then we have a problem. We have a problem, and we have a salvation problem. Because he said salvation is of the followers of Christ. So we have a salvation problem. Don't sit there and say, I'm forsaken not to assemble myself. And he's not dwelling in temples that made with men's hands. Then we have a salvation problem. Not an assembly problem. We have a salvation problem. He says this, neither is worship with men's hands, comparing though he needed anything, seeing he giveth to all life and breath in all things. And that went over a lot of our heads. This is going over our heads. Why it keep going over our heads? Because we was actually trying to tell us. Because he's saying, comparing as though we needed anything. He's telling you this right here. Showing it to you right here. Though he needed anything. I need to build this big church to have all these people come here. Though he needed anything. Is that wise? He goes on more, seeing he giveth all life and breath in all things. So we're using objects for devotion. That show is my boy. That's my church. That is my church. That edifice right there, that is my church. Camps ignorantly followed them to the letter. To the letter. Only thing they slap on it is Israelite. But ignorantly do the same thing. These are the problems we have. So it's made neither with hands of man. We need to understand when you get to Uncle Idris on some of this here. 1 second. We're going to go to Uncle Idris and we're going to pick it up at chapter 10. And get over there. We're going to park at verse 57 is the one we want. This is the one we want right here. It says, for thou art blessed above many other. And blessed, we need to know what that means. We are given wisdom and understanding. We're given this above many others that's seeking the truth. This is why I say we have a lot of people we like to play church and play as we have knowledge. You have men who sit there and they teach and they tell you about Esau's the white man and the world going to end and Russia is this and China is that and America is this. How is that worshiping God? You are blessed above many others. Even today, you are. Many people are not going to believe it, but you are. And it says, and are called with the highest. But many people is not going to pick that up. That's why it's the end of that thought right there. See, this is why he says things, but you have to understand when you actually look at it in Hebrew, why you see he actually changed this. Because that's the end of that thought. He's done with that thought. Thou art called with the highest. But he's saying, and so but few. Why? Many are called, few are chosen. It actually goes right to that verse. Goes right to it. We sit there and we play these games. We play church as if that's going to get us into the kingdom. Being gentiles of the mind. Many of us want to call ourselves a Jew, but many of us is Gentiles. Gentiles of the mind, taking off the dumb idols. Not knowing what we're doing. Because we have taken on to all kind of other things. So I want to show you something here. We're going to look at Matthew. I want to show you something in Matthew. And we're going to go to chapter 22. We're going to look at chapter 22. And we're going to park and get to know verse 14. Just what I was just saying. For many are called, but few are chosen. See, and what he's saying in his fullness is this. Many is called out of darkness. Many is called out of darkness into the marvelous light. some is not going to want to come out of the darkness. They want to stay in the dark. Some is going to come out and go back in. Have you ever seen where you get an animal where they have a little cubby hole they can stay in, and you come up to them, you trying to get them to come out, and they come out a little bit. You move your hand towards them, they jump back in the hole. Then they wait a little bit minute, they come out a little bit. You trying to get them out, you trying to lure them out. With what? With food. Oh, same thing. He rained manna for heaven. But beside the point. Just wanted to hit us with something letting you know what we do. But the same thing is trying to lure him out with that. Come out. Get a little bit, boom, go right back in the hole. Why? Why is that? For many a call. Few will be chosen. Only a few going to be chosen out of here. People think you go to many different churches, everybody going to heaven. Up to them, everybody going. So we see this here, and we look down here. It's saying but if you're Gentiles of the mind, and many people gonna have that Gentiles of the mind. The problem is Gentiles of the mind will not see the kingdom of God. I don't care how we look at it. But he's coming to the Gentiles of the mind. But all the Gentiles of the mind is not going to make it. Because some of them is not going to change. Let's look at verse 25. It says this here. He says, comparing, he said also to OC. But most people don't know what OC actually means. But here, we hear in King James Bible University, we're here to educate, to inform you, to help you learn. But OC just talking about Hosea. But Hosea, and it's saying this here, it's saying, as he says also in salvation, is what he actually said. That's what just a little bit twisted. That's why he says that. And why he's saying it that way, I'll show you. Let me show you why he said you. Let me show you why he's saying this. So we're just gonna get some understanding here. Yes, we're gonna get a little bit of understanding and understand what was happening here. We're gonna look at verse 2. And it says, in the beginning of the word of the Spirit of God by salvation. That's what it actually says. This is what it actually says. And now you're going to see why he said it this way. Because he's telling you right up here. Actually, I need to enlarge it because I want the whole thing to show. If we can get the whole thing to show them both. Because I'm going to do both of them the same way. So 1 second. Let me see if I can get them both to show. 1 second. It's right there. Okay. So we got that one. So we have this one here. And I want this one here the same way. Because we want the whole thing to show. And we can get that to show. And come on. Where is that? When I do that, there it goes right there. When I make them larger. Okay. So I want those there so we can see what's going on. So I want those there the way we can see it. Actually, I'm going to highlight these so we can see, so we can focus on the one. But he's saying, as saith also in salvation, because in salvation I will call them my people. Because in salvation, he's being up front. You're going to be his people. He said, which were not my people, the end of that thought, and her beloved, the promise, which was not promised. That's all he's saying. But you see this over here. He told him how salvation works is in the beginning of the word of the Spirit of God by Hosea. And it says, and the Spirit of God said to Hosea, go take unto thee a wife of whoredom, a Gentile. Go get one of those. Not a woman that is physically being in whoredom. She's worshiping everything. She's worshiping those dumb idols. Keep that in mind. It's those dumb idols that she's chasing. Worshiping everything, devoting to any kind of object going on. Because he's going to actually even explain it. He says this, go take thee a wife of whoredom and the children of whoredom. Worshiping anything. And he says, watch this. For the land, don't say for she, for the land have committed great whoredom. And how did they do it? Departing from the Spirit of God. They departed from that and they started worshiping anything. That's all this is saying. That's all Hosea was. But if you go look at Hosea and the way people teach Hosea, you'll see that they say Hosea married an actual harlot, a whore. That's not the truth. It's telling you right there what they did. You got people sitting there telling you that they worship God and they still a whore. No. For salvation are the followers of Christ. So some people just worship him in name only. This is how this goes out here. Let's look at this. I'm gonna kind of go off. I'm gonna go off scene for a second, but it's gonna be in the same place. But I want to just show you something. The only reason I'm doing this because I just want to make sure with the others that just hit me to where I just want to make sure we know what certain things mean to help out each and every person. So I'm gonna do it that way. So I'm gonna go off, and then I probably in the Romans book. But if I forget, somebody just need to remind me. Because I'm telling you, people who know me in the class and who's been knowing me for a while, sometimes I get busy and sidetracked and I forget. But just make sure that if I don't put those meanings in there, just tell me, and I'll be looking at the comments when I'm doing it, and then I'll make sure I put it in. But I want to show you this. That's why I'm saying that. So it says this in verse 4, because I'm gonna show you why he's doing what he's doing. Why he's saying this. It says, in her beloved, which was not beloved. I'm going to show you why he's saying that. I'm going to show you why he's saying that, because it breaks it down where Paul is pulling this from. It said, and the Spirit of God said unto him, call his name Jezreel. So now we know Hosea actually mean the same thing. Is salvation or causing to save. So we know that's what Hosea names mean. Hosea name means salvation or causing to save. So we know that. But he said, take a wife of that land. So he's going to cause to save that person, is what he's saying. Everybody follow me. So we're going to just stay with me. And we're going to call this one Jezreel. And I don't know what they might have said in Blue Letter. I don't know what they might call it. But the main thing is this Jezreel is the same person you see that's like dirt. It's like dirt. It's just dirt, but he got to plant the word in there to cultivate it. So if that's what he's doing, so that only means Yahweh sows. So what he did, he's sowing a seed inside Jezreel. Okay? So he sows, meaning this, the Spirit of God will avenge something else because he's going to talk about something. Watch this. Because that's the end of that thought. It says, for yet a little while, and I will avenge the life of Jezreel. So we know here, everybody know what, well, I said enough, but we know blood mean life. So he's going to avenge the life of Jezreel upon the house of Jehu, which will cause to cease the kingdom of the house of Israel. I'm telling you, that's so clear today, it's unreal. Because Jehu I don't know what they might have. So this is why I say they jack people up, but Jehu is Yahweh. That's his actual name. That's showing you more actual name on how he actually uses his name. And Jehu means Yahweh, and he's just basically saying, my people Israel. All he's saying. So, but just like I said, you got to remind me, and I lay it out, but if not, you got a 90% chance I might end up forgetting as I'm going through this teaching. So it gets down here, and we see what's happening here. But let's jump down here. We're going to look at verse 6. Because verse 6 also tells you a second part that we need to know. And it says this. It says, she conceived again and bare a daughter. She bare a daughter. And God said unto him, call her name what? What is her name? See, that's what we need to be able to know. Lo Ramaha. Meaning what? Let me highlight that. And this is basically saying it's no mercy, no compassion, based on this one. Not pitted. Really just saying no mercy, no compassion. Meaning the Spirit of God will have no mercy upon the house of Israel. But he's telling you he is not going to have any pity, any compassion upon flesh. None. That's what he's saying. But if you do it right and it's cultivated right, he'll have mercy upon your spirit. Because he's going to pick and choose who he going to take out. He says this here. We're going to look at two places. Actually, I'm going to have to come back over here, but I'm going to take you to two places because I have to use this. I have to use this one. We're going to go to 9. Actually, we can go back here. We're going to go to 9:15. We're going to look at something here. This is why he said, this is literally why he's saying this stuff. He says, for he said to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy. I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. Same thing he's saying over here. He said the same thing even here, and you even see it here. We're going to look at Exodus chapter 33, and we're going to see this same thing again. 33, we're going to park it over at verse 19. And he said this. He said, I will make all my goodness pass before thee. Ain't that what we was talking about earlier? His glory. And before thee, and will proclaim the name of the Spirit of God before thee, and will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and show mercy on to whom I will show mercy. That's it. That's who he's going to show it to. And he's going to choose, because many are going to is called. But there are a few that are chosen. Many are called, but few are chosen. So he's picking and choosing what he's taking. Just like I said, he goes out into the field. As he goes into the field, he's going to harvest everything out at one time. That's why he says, let the wheat and tares grow together. You let them grow together, because I'm going to come out there once I harvest everything up. Everything that I can't use going into the fire. So he's very, very upfront, and he's showing us in all these other silhouette pictures. But verse 26 says this. It says, and it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there shall be called the children of the living God. You see how that's working now. You see how that's working now. So you see this here. Excuse me. So you see that here. So it says, and it should come to pass there. So right now you see this group of people. I want you to see that there. I want you to look at it. And I want you to understand what's happening here, the way you can get the understanding. Those people, and you see people, will tell you, you are not the people. You're not the people of God. But he says this here. He makes sure that he says, ye are not the people. But he says, clear as day. He says right here, he says, there, here, where you are right now, we call the children of the living God. Let's look at something. I'll show you something. Let's go back over to Hosea. See, this is where Paul pulling it from, and that's why we keep going back over here, because Paul is getting that from here. And I might have to shrink this again to get that all on there. Yep, that's what dang, I still got to shrink it some more because it got some more. Because I know I'm trying to see how much more I got. Yep, it's a lot. So I'm going to have to flip over on both sides. So we'll be flipping back and forth. It says, yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sands of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. But you see, they try to keep numbering you in the census. It says, shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not the people. Same thing that Paul said on you. That you are not the people. They'll tell you, showing you the images of something that's contrary to you. They're showing you white images, stuff like that. And they telling you, we're worth nothing. And what happens is they go out and they kill us at high numbers. And as soon as you complain about it, the first thing they say is, look at black on black crime. They justify, okay, look what y'all doing. Y'all killing yourselves. So what's wrong with us killing a few of you guys? These are the things that we have to look at. These are the things that's going on. As we sit there and we do this stupid stuff, and we killing our own brothers and our own sisters, and then as soon as we sit there and they kill one of us, now we want to go speak about it. And then the first thing come out of their mouth, is say, but look at black on black crime. The first thing come out of their mouth. Look at black on black crime first. Before you come to me, look at black on black crime. And our biggest problem is this. We had that problem. We act like it's nothing. And then we'll sit there and we'll give billions of dollars to these Black Lives Matters and other institutions supposed to be for our people. But no one has taken the time to ask them, I'm going to send you some money, but you asking for it, but what you going to allocate this money for? What is this money going to do? How is this money? I'm sending you how it's going to go to work. I need to know what you're going to do with the money. No one asked the question. They just sent it. The same woman bought a house out here in Malibu. And I heard she bought a couple of other properties, but she got one in Malibu. Never asked her what she was going to do with the money. Because we foolishly did that. The same as we foolishly worship God. The preacher tells you just give, and you give, never knowing what he's going to do with the money. Saying you need to give God his cut. You need to give God his 10%. Had another guy telling me that had one church gives out a document to show what your salary level is, to show what you should be tithing every week. breakdown on what you need to give them, never telling you what need to be going on with that money, even though you shouldn't never tie money to anyone. But we see this here. He's saying they're going to say that you are not the people. It says, see, ye are not the people. He says, there, it shall be said to them, ye are the sons of the living God. There. Right there. Right there. See, this is what people have a problem with when they see this stuff, and you look at this, and same thing with Wisdom of Solomon. Wisdom of Solomon, he cleared some of this up for you. He says, yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sands of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. It shall come to pass in the place where it said, ye are not my people, it shall be said there, ye are the sons of the living God. Actually, that's the wrong one. That is actually that's a mix-up, because that is actually for Hosea. So this one is actually wrong, because that is Hosea 2:23. And I'll show you that there. And that's showing you the wrong one. And you see here, it says, in ye, one second, let me pull this, 1 second. Come on. And yeah, so that's where I knew it was wrong. So yeah, that's the wrong one. So don't worry about that one there, because I knew that was wrong. And go back over to Romans. But it's saying in 2:20, it says, ye should sow her unto me in the earth, and I will have mercy upon her that I have not obtained mercy, and I will say unto them which were not my people, Gentiles of mine, thou art my people, and they shall say, thou art my God. We was ignorant about this thing. We was ignorant about this. And this is one of our biggest problems. One of our biggest problems. And saying it's even harder for us, because what happened that we have black people tell you, you are the people. And you have other people, no, y'all ain't the people. That's why you had a problem. We had a problem with people telling you, the Jewish people. Jewish people is in the land. But it's just like, have you ever seen a field that's just like waste? It's just a field. It's just growing up weeds. Nobody's touching it. Not being cultivated. Not being anything. It's at rest. You see fields like that. You can travel, especially if you're in the countryside. You see fields like that all the time. Just nothing's being done to it. People own it. Nobody's doing nothing to it. You see that all the time. However, the ones you see like that, it's the same thing. Even though you see people in Jerusalem right now, you see the same thing. Even though you see those tares moving around, it's just like that field. It's no difference. It's at rest, because he's not there. He's telling you the same identical thing. But people will sit there, and you have us trying to go there by the thousands to go to Jerusalem. Talking about we're going to the Holy Land. People get off crying and everything else. For what? He's not there. In 27 it says this. It says this. It says Elias also cried concerning Israel. Though the number of the children of Israel should be as the sands of the sea, a remnant shall be saved. The remnant is telling you only a remnant going to be saved. Only a remnant. Do we know what a remnant is? It's very few in number. But he's going to cry because he's going to make these paths straight. Meaning this. We're going to look at this. We're going to look at this. We're going to go to Isaiah. We're going to pick it up at chapter 40. And the reason we're going to chapter 40, because I'm going to show you something there that'll help us with clarity. And we're going to look at 40 and we're going to pick it up at verse 3. And that's why he's talking about Elias. Because Elias is talking about Isaiah. It says, the voice of him that crieth in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Spirit of God, make straight in the desert a highway for our God. So we need to follow that straight way to God. Are you following me? He's crying in the wilderness, but people telling us, and you're being taught a whole nother way. A whole nother way. That you need to sit there and come up another way with God. Make straight the road. See, this is the problem that we have. Because we'll sit there and we'll go off on these side roads and thinking that God is there, and he's not. And they're telling you we're going to go from the wilderness to the woods. This is what we do. This is what we do. And we do this like clockwork. So we sit there and the road should be just like this. It should be just like this here. Straight. Straight. Think about that. You're telling us here we're not the people, but we act so thuggish and ignorant to who our God is, who we ignorantly worship. Because what we have done, we have people who have taken Christianity doctrine, and then they uplift that and put it over here, and then you put it on the black people, and the black people sit there and teach the same doctrine, and it's just now in the black church. Now it's just in the black church. Same doctrine, just in the black church. And you had camps taking that, lifted that up, and then they put Israelites on it. Same doctrine. You have more than 45,000 different types of Christian religion, to where that road is so many different ways. But he's telling you, he's in the wilderness to prepare the way of the Lord. So you have to hear the voice of God. That's why I'm saying the voice of him that crieth in the wilderness. He's directing you as you're going through. He'll sit there and he'll rest in bodies to direct you that way. But people will sit there and listen to a voice of something telling you about the spaceships. You listen to a voice telling you about the wars of China and the wars of Russia. He's not talking about that. He's not talking about that. He's telling you how you can get back the highway to our God. Let's look at this. This is why we have such a problem. In Luke, we look at Luke chapter 3 and picking it up over here, verse 4. It's saying the same thing over here. What you see in Romans, you see over here. It says, as it is written in the book of the word of Elias. the prophet saying? The voice of one that cried in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Lord, to make your path straight. Why we see these here and we didn't take no notice of them? See, these are what we need to make sure we clearly get, but we just choose not to do. We choose not to do those. We choose to do everything contrary to what he said. And nothing more. And he's saying, the voice of one crying in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Lord, to make the path straight. And we keep going off on the side of the road. The side of the road. One side is deep water, the other side is fire. Because someone said something so eloquently, we like it, so I'm going to go with them. This one sitting there, that's right, I'm going to go with them. I don't know. That's why he says, that's why the Most High, he's saying things and we don't want to really look at them, but it's all facts. Those are all facts, and it's going to happen. So it's not like it's not going to happen. It is going to happen. And that's why you see right here in 2 Esdras chapter 8, and we're going to pick it up at verse 1, he says this: the Most High have made this world for many. Here, it's the wilderness. This is the wilderness right now. Wherever you are, I don't care where you are in the world, you're in the wilderness. In this world here that you're in, because the next world is not even here yet, but this world you're in was made for many. That's why you can walk around, you can see all different types of people. And evil even going on in this world. But he's saying one thing, however, the world, you've been making that known all the entire time as we've been going down through Romans. That's why he said, I have to have mercy on whom I have mercy. I'm going to choose who I'm going to choose. Because some of you guys want to come in, only time you want to sit there and say that you're the people is once I'm here and you see I'm doing what I'm doing, now all of a sudden I'm the people. Oh, okay, now that's me. No. Don't work that way. That's what many people going to do. When that last trump sound, then they go, oh, won't tell you what, that was him. Oh, okay, I'm rolling with him. No, it's done. It's only for few. That's why he tells you up front, try the spirits, see are they from God. Try them. And we sit and we like to sit under everything other than what the truth is. He says this and he makes sure these things are clear as we go through. In Isaiah chapter 40, and why it's for so few, chapter 40, we're going to pick it up at verse 17. It's telling you right here, all nations before him are as nothing. And he's done with that thought. He's done with that thought. But people not really understanding the true essence of that. When people teach it, I get it, what you're doing, but we need to understand the true essence of that. In the true essence of that, all nations, according to the flesh, oh, somebody, oh, we're going to tell you what? So that's talking about the 12 tribes? Do they say except for the 12 tribes? Or do they say all nations? That's the point. So all nations, including the 12 tribes, are as nothing. Why? Because it's something that he only chosen one. He told you this from the beginning. He said this from the beginning. Yeah, I'm gonna go back over here. It says, not as though the word of God has taken none effect, for they are not all Israel. That's the only one he's concerned about. Is that one right there. That's the only one he's concerned about. He's not looking for all the 12. At the end, the 12 going to come in, and he can section them out. But you need to be operating under that one. Why you think? Let me show you. This here is same thing. He's saying the same thing all the time, but for some reason we don't want to pay attention. He says, "Gather yourselves, ye sons, together, and hear, ye sons of Jacob." That's all 12 tribes. That's all 12. But he makes sure that you're clear here. And hearken unto your father Israel. One. We have to come to him as one. We can't come to him as 12. Come to him as 12, you'll be rejected. That's automatic. So when you look at it in its entirety, that's what he's letting you know. For all nations before him are as nothing. They are counted as nothing. They are counted to him less than nothing in vanity. Yeah, because things of the flesh, that's vanity. You have to worship God in spirit and in truth. Now, I know that got your attention. But we just being real about this. Let's look at this. Let's go a little bit deeper here. Let's go back to Uncle Idris. Because just like I said, I get it when people do it. I get it. But when you want to get down to the bones of it, oh, it's another ball game. It's a whole nother ball game. We want to get right to 56. Because these are verses people like to use. And I get it. I use them. I get it. But that's to bring you under Christ. But I get it. And it says, as for other people, which also come of Adam. So people sit there and say, oh, no, that's all the other people. No, it's not. No, it's not. It never said that. He's telling you up front, for the world is divided into 12 parts. He told you that up front. So he's telling you, as for other people, which also come of Adam. Meaning who? Jacob children of the flesh. Let's go back here. See, I told you we have a problem here. I got to go back here to verse 8. Let me unhighlight some of this to where we can get it. Because actually, let me shrink it to where we get it. Oh shoot, it's still not taking the whole thing. But it tells you this in verse 8. As for other people which also come of Adam, thou hast said they are nothing. That is, they which are the children of the flesh. These are not the children of God. Now we get it. See, people want to sit there and say, oh no, this is talking about all the other people. You never said that. So why you put it in there? Because he never said it. But, well, I got to add that in there. Oh, I get it. I get it. But that's not what he said. This world here was made for many, and he did that. But he's sitting there telling you right up front. Adam is talking about the children he's going to deal with. But he says, and as for other people which also come of Adam, thou hast said they are nothing but like unto spittle. Why? Because they has taken the word of God that's done effect. These are children of the flesh. Those are not the children of God. He's telling you this right up front. They're spittle, and likened in abundance to them that is a drop that falleth from a vessel. That's why he says that. Because he's talking about to us. Those who's operating of the flesh. Operating in the flesh. You ain't never pulled talking about, oh, well, no, that's talking about all the other people. Oh, yeah, I get it. I get it. But is it a concrete fact when you want to deal on the spirit side of it, on what the truth is? No. Because it's telling you right there, which also come of Adam. Did Jacob and all the fleshly children come of Adam? 100%. What is he talking about? Let's go a little bit deeper here. Let's pick up our jaws and close our mouths and keep on moving. We got to keep this moving. And I think I'm going to go down one more and I'm going to end up holding up because we're kind of going through a lot of it. We're going to go to Matthew chapter 13. I thought I'd be able to finish it, but we'll stop. We're going to end up stopping. We want to sit there and see here. It says, for that reason, and this ain't the one I want. This is not the one I want. I want verse 30, I believe. And this is the one I want. This is the one I want. It says, let both grow together until the harvest. Actually, what I've been talking about the entire time. Let both grow together until the harvest. That is interesting. That is truly interesting. Because once he comes and he harvests, he's going to sit there and he says, and in the time of harvest, I will say to the reapers, gather all the first, the tares. That's what we was talking about. And you see, he's not sitting there saying, we're going to grab all the Gentiles. Yeah, we're going to grab the tares. The same ones who didn't want to pay attention and obey the voice and try to follow down that road. That's what he's talking about. That's what he's talking about. And he says that, gather them tares, bind them up in bundles, burn them. The third part of the trees was burned up. Same as a lot of us. Going to get what? Burned up. But he says, gather the wheat into my barn. So we can sit there and say what we want. And we always want to put the bad stuff in the Bible. We always want to put it on somebody else without putting it on ourselves. People sit there and say, see, that's why he says he's going to take those tares, bind them up. Those are the ones taken. Those are the ones taken. And it says this here where we get to some other parts. Because we're going to get to some parts there which is hard for some people to really see. And it's other people hard for them to understand. But we're going to find out what that is saying. Revelation, we're going to look at chapter 8. Picking it up at verse 7. Because it says, and the first angel sounded. The first angel sounded, and there followed hell and fire mingled with life. Hell and fire mingled with life. We need to know what those things mean, but we're not going to get into that right now. But it says this, and there was cast upon the earth, and as you being cast upon this earth, what happened? A third part of the trees was burned up. They went off that road. Obey his voice, follow what he's saying to where he can direct us through this world. And a third part of us chose not to do it. He got burned up. This world was made for many. And as he said, all flesh is nothing to him. All flesh is nothing to God. That's why you see right there, and all green grass was burnt up. The world is divided into 12 parts to where they have an opportunity to have eternal life, is who he's talking to. Everyone else and all that green grass, all the ones you want to sit there and hold on, whoever you want to hold on to, Japhet or whoever, is telling you clearly right there, all green grass is burned up. All grass. You go figure that one out. Because this world is divided into 12 parts. It's divided into 12 parts. That's why you see so many people, they thinking they're going to tidy up and they're going to battle God. That's almost like a joke to God. So the same thing is, if you want to couple yourself up with the Japhets and everything else, then you do so. And you think that they got the truth to get you in, then you do so. Because the third part is going to be burnt up anyway. And you can help even up that number for him. But all that grass going to be burned up. So it means this. Peter said this, and I like the way Peter even put it. I even like the way Peter put it. And Peter said this in chapter 4. He said something real clear, and hopefully it resonates with you. It did a lot with me. He says, and if the righteous scarcely be saved, it means a lot of us going to just make just by the skin of our teeth on that one piece of hair we got in. There's a photo finish. They got to look at it real good. We got to look at this a couple of times. We scarcely be saved. Scarcely be saved. He said, where shall the ungodly and the sinner appear? You know, he's telling you that something that's impossible. We scarcely making it if we get in. We have to endure this to the end. So we scarcely gonna make it in. So if that's the truth, which we know it is, it's the Bible, then how is the ungodly gonna show up? How are these people who will sit there and they holler themselves, these Christians, which is dumb within itself, but the main thing is this: they holler Christian, but they do all this ungodly stuff, and then they call themselves they're gonna be in heaven. You ever thought about that? You have people who, even their fathers, they sat right there and they hung people and they brought their children out there to see it, and they did it as a festival and thought it was something good. And they'll sit there and watch somebody being hung, and then some of them even burn them as they're doing it. And they have their children and they'll take pictures. And not only that, they'll take pictures and make postcards out of them and send them around the world. And I promise you, some of these Gentiles still have them. And sit there and look to heaven as if they in heaven. Who's gonna bust hell wide open? This is the problem. We have so many people who sit there and they'll tell you how much they are of God and did everything wrong. You think all those people, same thing. You see how they did judge George Floyd. How wrong it was on what you seen from the beginning of the video to the end of the video. They try to tell you about things outside of the video in history. But you see what actually happened to this man. Now his end result, I don't know. I don't know where he's going. But the people will sit there and say that those men that was out there who did that and was in committing that. Some people sit there and say, well, he was a Christian or he was this and he is still getting to heaven. Really? One, he's a Gentile, so we can cut it there. But if you want to go into detail, how can someone sit there and do someone like that? And then you have this man of attorney and gonna try to make it seem like it's everything else. And on top of that, they're gonna try to say what you seen is almost what he deserved. And they'll sit there and you look in the back and you'll see they have a sign up, "In God We Trust." But that's a God on what I showed you earlier. This is the issue that we have. So if the righteous gonna scarcely be saved, you think these people who sit there and use judgment based on skin color gonna be there? You have over 50% of the Gentile nations believe that Chauvin was wrongfully judged and he shouldn't have got that guilty verdict. It's no reason to sit there to be upset about that, but it shows you what the truth is. This world was made for many. And if you looked at the yesterday teaching, we just have a road we need to travel. That's it. Because they're not going to be there. You make it, they're not going to be there. That, I can promise you that. Because they nowhere in here. Nowhere in here where it's saying anything good about them. Because of what they doing. They showing you who they are. And what's so bad about it, we'll go off those roads and we'll marry them, have children with them, and do all these other things. So if they righteous be scarcely saved, it was ungodly for you to be an incubator for them, meaning you the woman, you having children for them. Or you're a man and you call yourself putting an Israel child in them. That's ungodly. So let's put in some precepts. So we're gonna have to stop here at 28. I was gonna try to finish it up. Let me put this stop, and we'll finish this one up next week. I was trying to really get this one done. I thought I would, but I want to make sure that some of my younger ones, I found out some of my younger ones look over here, so I want to make sure they can get some things. So let's pull this up. Yeah, we're going to go through this. So we're going to put that up there. We're going to go through 23 and we're going to go to get down to 27. We're going to start putting in the precepts in here and getting that down. So 1 second, so let me just put this and get to this piece here and right there at it. So let me start right here. And the first one we're going to put in the Wisdom of Solomon. And we're going to put in 223. And let me see here 1 second. One part I got missing. One part I was missing. And we have 1 Corinthians 3:16. We have Ecclesiastes 12:7. 1 second. And I have actually we can save that one. We can save that. And we're gonna go down to 24. And we're gonna start there. We got 1 Corinthians 12:2. John 4:22. Acts 17:23 and 25. And we have 2nd Esdras 10:57. We have Matthew. We have 22 and 14. And make sure you save that. And we're going to go down to 25. We have Hosea 1 and 2. 1, 2. And we have 4. And we also have 6. We have Romans, which is a repeat, 9:15. Exodus 33:19. And save that. Too many zeros. Too many O's. Save that. And we're going to go down to 26. And we're going to put in Hosea 1 and 10. We got 2 and 4. And we have 27, which would be the last verse we got to do. We got in Isaiah 40 and 3, Luke 3 and 4, 2nd Esdras 8 and 1, Isaiah 40 and 17, 2nd Esdras 6:56. And I need to pull that down some. I need to pull this down a little bit. We have Matthew 13:30, Revelation 8 and 7. And I believe that, we got one more. We have, and we have 1 Peter 4 and 18. Make sure you save it. Make sure you save it. Make sure you save it. So with that, I just want to make sure that everybody was good with that. And do anybody have any questions based on what was given, to where we can clarify if I need to go into Zoom to clarify anything. But if not, we're going to end up going out from here. And then we'll just be picking up. Actually, we have Deacon Micah do have a teaching going out for OKC this afternoon. This evening for some, but this afternoon for us in California on the West Coast. But I want to see before I go off, do anybody need any clarification to where I can open up Zoom? And if not, we're gonna end up ending this session here. So I'm asking, giving you guys a minute to see if we need any clarity, or are we good? Because if we're good, we're just gonna close out. If we're not, we're going to end it here. So I'm waiting to see what we get. So I give you guys a minute because I know it's a little delay that is here. So I'm just waiting to see what we have. And right now I don't see anything that's going on. And right now, do we have any questions? Because if we have any questions, I was going to open up the back of Zoom. But if not, we're going to end it here. So right now all I'm saying is everybody so far is good. Everybody is good. Okay. So it seems like we don't need any clarification. Good. Okay, so we're good here. So we can go ahead and we'll end it here. And we'll go ahead and end it here and see how are we gonna do that there. And let's see here. And questions. Yeah, so if you got a question, we have one question. Okay, we have some questions. So yeah, so give me 1 second. Let me open up a Zoom. So give me a second, and I can put up a Zoom real quick to where we can take care of that question. So give me 1 quick second here. Let me set up a Zoom and I'll do it. And we'll get that cleared up. So just 1 quick second. And let's do this real quick. And it is set. So just give me 1 hot second. So 1 second. Yes, just 1 second, Axel. 1 second, my brother. I'm setting that up right now to where you can join the Zoom. And I'm doing that right now. Live Zoom meeting. So right now, before I go out, if you guys refresh your screen, and right now you'll see a Zoom in there. So if you refresh your screen, you'll see the Zoom link, and then I can take care of those couple of questions. So, I said again, we're getting ready to go out, but if you refresh your screen, you'll see the Zoom meeting link right in the description. Right below it's saying Romans chapter 9. You see it right below there. It says live Zoom meeting. You click on that link, you'll go directly in. So you'll be good right there. So just make sure that you do that, and you shouldn't have no problem from that point out. So just make sure all that's taken care of. So I just want to make sure people get that before I go out, and it won't be no issues there. and won't be no issue there. So just trying to see to make sure. So with that, we're gonna give